doing it. We don't have audio issues this week. Hell yeah, let's go. We've got almost a full cast. It's close enough. Hello and hi and welcome everybody, and welcome to the penultimate episode of our Gilded Shadows campaign. Our Urban Shadows campaign, which takes place in the wondrous and large metropolis of Los Angeles, California in the year 2050. I am joined here with my super cool cast of friends, and we are going to dive into some dangerous situations today. So you can expect to see probably some graphic violence, like urban fantasy, emotional manipulation, some light gaslighting, and all those kinds of themes as our cast of characters here wheel and deal their way into some better stations in the world, hopefully, and we'll see what they managed to accomplish in these last two episodes together. But with that, that's the business. Hi, everyone. I am Sage, and I will be your MC this evening.
Hi, everyone. I'm Becca, and I will be playing your chaotic fairy, Zev, who is just looking for her soul.
Hi, everybody. I had to remember what order we did this in. I'm JB, and tonight I will be playing your immortal Hector Dominic Curio.
I'm Jess, and I was just gifted a sub to this channel. Thank you. I'm Jess, my pronouns are they, them, and I'm playing Izzy, the super chill and completely reasonable oracle who's not upset about anything because everything's going exactly as planned.
And I'm Noir. I'm pretty sure I went at the right time. I am playing Uriel, the very put upon angel that's having a little bit of an identity crisis of sorts. I go by he, they, and so does Uriel.
And I'm last, which is my favorite part about being on the stream because I never have to get out of order. I am Paul, and tonight I will be playing Eli, your mortal SoCal Constantine scholar.
Beautiful. Well, that is everyone. Jess cannot be joining us because it is raining in France, and I don't blame Jen for not wanting to ride a bike at 3 a.m. in the rain to get to her office to stream. Reasonable accommodation. But Jen will be joining us next week for our finale. So we will see what is up with Izzy and Viv soon. But before we dive into the action, give me that sweet recap, everyone.
All right. I could just remember my part.
That's all. That's all we need.
Do it.
Because I'm selfish. I'm going 1v1 against the demon that sucks. Things were going well. I was giving him the pause. He was catching the left and the right consistently. And then he hit me with the demonic uppercut all the way to my buddy's house. It was a lucky shot. The Lord abandoned me, I think. That won't have any
oh no!
That won't have any ramifications on my mental standing. Everything's fine and normal. This all happened, of course, after our friend Viv was kidnapped by said demon that sucks, and has caused this existential crisis that Uriel's going on. I believe Izzy was also kidnapped as well, and through some quick thinking, some fake prophecies, they were able to get themselves out of there, which was baller. Poor Hector just has a bunch of people in one of his houses again. Sorry, bro. That is the full extent of my memory. Don't smoke, kids. I did the best I could.
Across the city from Uriel, who is venturing into this meta-held territory to face off against a demon, Hector was having to finish some conclusions with holding a gala to get a gauge on the mayoral candidate. When he found out that Izzy and Viv were both still missing, he decided to turn his attention to a massive explosion that rocked Skid Row in Los Angeles 2050. When he arrived, the one thing to take away from our previous session was that the queen of the Court of Roaches was there to greet Hector, who breathed life into the corpse of Juniper to determine that Percy Brooks was in fact the one who murdered him and set up all of this turmoil to befall the Court of Roaches and Skid Row itself. But in the exchange with the queen, Hector also found that she is indeed not even a fae.
Zev and Eli were hot on the trail of Izzy and what is Jen's character name? Viv. Thank you. Izzy and Viv. Following the trail of dress crumbs that Viv was leaving behind, their robotic birds and other adornments that they were leaving as a way for folks to follow them. After infiltrating the Meta warehouse facility, they found themselves in a tight situation, but managed to escape and beat feet away as quickly as possible from the armed guards that were surrounding them. They then wound up at Eli's storage facility, where he began to research Balfagor to find some weaknesses for their demonic foe, as well as continue to track down the vase of the Rocha San Domingo on behalf of Hector.
Indeed.
Did I miss anything?
No,
Nice.
you all got it. Nice recap. Killed it. So where we are picking up first is with dear Uriel and the newly teleported Balfagor into Hector's beach home. Hector, what does this house look like?
Oh boy. Geez, putting me on the spot. I linked earlier. I looked up a place. I was like, where do rich people live? Los Angeles, because I don't know. Yuck.
Gotta have an open floor plan, right? That's
Sierra
what rich people like.
Retreat. Sierra Retreat is where it actually is. And it's a 2-story, not super opulent, but a very nice 2-story building in a hugely ritzy neighborhood. And just like Paul said, it is an open floor plan on the bottom floor, with 3 bedrooms up top, each one with a bath adjoining. Downstairs is more of the select style kitchen in the back that's closed off so the help can go around and come through the back door if I'm hosting some large event in the front. But sitting on pedestals of marble and covered in those really nice little, oh my God, what are they called? Little satin pillows. There are relics from all around the place, like all over the world, just on display as though this were not a concern at all for thievery or anything of that nature. I have 2 people that live in the house and take care of it when I am there or when I am not there. And as I arrive tonight, I bid them to both leave and leave me to my own devices, since I knew that Viv and Izzy were on their way, and I would possibly be having to administer a tincture to Viv against her will. So I wanted the place alone. And just after I pour a nice amber bourbon, I take a nice sip as I step into my kitchen, and then the smell of hellfire and brimstone fills my entire apartment, or my entire home, and Uriel and this demon arrive. And I think the last thing I said was, what the hell?
And so as suddenly there's this loud pop in the air that sort of sounds through this that rings through this house. And Uriel, you look around and you see, I don't know, you think you've been to Hector's place before? This beach house?
Oh, this particular beach house, probably not. No.
Yeah, so you're looking around at completely unfamiliar territory, and Balfagor looks likewise very confused as well. You see he cranes his neck back and forth, looking concerned, looking confused, and he says, "What? It must have been that damned oracle." What do you do, Uriel? And Hector.
You can see like clenched fist covered in divine holy fire, and then just kind of like falls limply at his side. And I think he's going to try. He's going to try a move one more time. Don't worry, it's not the pillar of fire one. I'm not gonna blow up my buddy's house, even though technically I don't know it's my buddy's house. He's going to call upon the Lord to see if the Lord can give him something other than, because I remember what God told him, which was that essentially he had to beat himself, or like it was something to the effect of
he's
like,
his own downfall. Yeah,
he's his own downfall, which I'm former angel of wrath. I'm supposed to be the demon's downfall, so I know that punching is not the way out. So I am sorry, I had to find the page again. I am going to use the move Messenger. In the face of impending violence, ask your Lord to speak through you. On a roll plus spirit. On a hit, the Lord offers something useful. On a 7 to 9, it's mired in symbolism, which is what happened last time. So we're gonna see if maybe the lines are a little bit clearer between me and the Lord. It is not. It's a 9. Ah!
so close.
Wait, no. It's plus spirit. Plus spirit. I forgot to add my spirit. Okay. My spirit is 2, so 11.
Nice.
I was about to be like, God.
I curse thee, but not really. Please help.
Why hast thou forsaken me?
So as Uriel, as you call back this information, the cryptic message that you had received before, that was that Balfagor is his own downfall, and as you're looking around and you're calling out again with this hope and this question of faith in crisis, and you catch Balfagor seeing his reflection in like this perfectly like mirror polished coffee table that sits behind, and he has this look of terror as he sees his face reflected back at him. And you know, in this perfect moment of clarity, that if he sees his reflection, if he sees a portrait of himself, that is what causes him to be vulnerable.
My next question is to Hector, which is, I imagine Hector to be somewhat of a very vain type person. So it's not, do you have a full-length mirror? It's, where is your full-length mirror?
So, apropos, there's actually innumerable reflective surfaces in this place. And now I told Sage this off stream, but it directly ties with who my character is, that all of the marble is polished to a mirror sheen. There are mirrors all over the place. The mirror top coffee table. There are mirrors in Hector's pockets. There's mirrors everywhere. So boy, you take your pick. Wherever you want to get a mirror from, you got it.
I think it's at that point where like he kicks two of the legs from the table so that the marble side lands facing Balthazar, and he's just going to go, I see now, Father. I could drop all of the fire upon heaven on you and it wouldn't have an effect. But you can't stand the sight of yourself almost as much as I can't stand the sight of you. And I'm just going to keep pointing reflective surfaces at him.
So you definitely know that while he has his an image of him either reflected back or within a portrait of him in sight, that he can be harmed and he can be killed. So he will take damage, whereas before you were not even doing anything to him. But now, having this mirrored coffee table propped up and shoved right in his face, he almost shrinks in front of you as you see that he becomes a little bit deflated and worried, his eyes with a bit of terror in them. And he takes this moment and he says, you think you're so clever? And he just produces from the ether this great sword of just pure black fire, and the smoke from it begins to billow and fill this place as it begins to consume all of the light within here as it becomes pitch black.
Oh no, you don't. I would like to use get in someone's way.
Okay.
To as soon as I see that sword, it's just gonna be like, oh, I also had a flaming sword. I lost it when I moved laterally in the company, but that's fine. And I get to roll that with spirit because of my ability Divine Plan.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh. That is boxcars. That's 12.
Oh,
so 14 total.
Oh, damn. And so as you see like the darkness beginning to creep up at the edge of your vision as everything seems to just become mired in this smoke, just your very being begins to radiate light and begins to immediately penetrate against this magical darkness that was beginning to descend onto the place. And the mirror shines even brighter that you've propped up in front of him, and he hisses and reels back visibly before lunging forward and taking a swing at you, plunging the sword through the coffee table into you, Uriel, and you will take 4 harm.
Oh, my body! Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, let's see. 4 harm. Oh, you know what? All things considered, Uriel's not that tough. Oh, so this has got to end quickly. You got a lot of money. You're fine. I would like to use.
I would just like to say, in the background of this scene, this table is hoisted up. A fucking necrotic sword is driven through marble. Flashes of light is combating darkness. They're both making a cone as if they're hitting the sound barrier apart from each other. There's an explosion that knocks the windows out. And Hector is in the background splashing bitters into the cup and filling it some more with bourbon. And then when he sees what's going to happen to his house, he just slides the decanter off into the floor and starts drinking from it. And he walks over to get a closer look at what Uriel is doing and Balfagor. And he takes a big sip and says, "You've got this. You've got this."
As the sword is in the chest, I think Uriel's actually going to pull Balthazar in for a hug. And go, last chance for mercy, brother.
I need not your mercy. When I fell from heaven, I eschewed all notions of mercy.
then you can incur Father's wrath. I would like to use burn the world again, please. This time,
Yay!
before I did 2 harm. Well, you get to pick 3. No, you get to pick 2. Your attack inflicts 2 plus harm. Your attack has plus area, and your attack inflicts S harm. I am just going to do the 2 harm and the S harm, which is sustained. So he's going to keep taking this fire damage.
Nice.
Okie dokie. So I'm gonna unleash. Here we go. Unleashes. What is that again? That's
Roll with blood.
Blood. Oh, I'm good at blood. Okay, that is 9, 10, 11.
Oh damn! Oh yeah.
You gotta burn. So basically, he just holds them, and a pillar of fire just comes raining down, like through the ceiling.
How much
And
harm does it do?
It does 2. It does 2, and it does 2 as long as he stays in in this scene with me. So as long as I'm holding him.
Oh man, yeah. So as you bring him into this bear hug, this sword which has been driven through your chest, through a table, and this column of light just rains down as you hold him in place, and your arms begin to shake and your wings begin to just fray at the edges with the smoke of this and the flames and the smoke of this weapon that he's driven through you, and he just screams out in bloody murder, and he just is wrestling to get out of your grip. I'm gonna roll to keep your cool to see if you can hold him here and hold fast.
Okay. Let's do it. Let us do it. All right, come on, baby. Okay, that is 8. And let's keep your cool.
Spirit.
9, 10.
Uriel on divine fire tonight. And so, oh man, what does it look like as you hunker down and despite his thrashing limbs and trying to just further jab the sword into you, trying to barrel you down to the ground, how does Uriel manage to keep it locked down?
I think because he's pinned down with the sword, like he's already got securely lodged in, so it's just a matter of like holding on to Balthazar. And I think it's just you just see him click his arms together, and Balthazar starts to look like Cell in Kamehameha. It's just like pieces coming off.
Yeah, you begin to see just the layers of flesh begin to just flake off and just turn to ash and dissipate before your eyes. And as you keep holding him here, and he just screams out, and you hear this scream which just rolls out of the now burst open windows, rolling across the open ocean, and it just all of a sudden there's just so much sound and so much noise, and it is just so close to unbearable. And then suddenly it's just like a quick pop, and you see the last layers of flesh of him just into dust.
After it's over, he's gonna let him go, and the fire's gonna die down a bit, and he's just gonna like lay against the table, still pinned.
I think that's a good moment for Hector to walk over through the haze of smoke and the fire lapping at his pant legs. Hector will come over and set his tumbler down on top of the overturned table and just above your head. And he kneels at you and he says, "Well done, my boy. Well done indeed."
A little rusty. I was something of an expert at exorcising demons a few millennia prior. I don't think I exactly handled that as a guardian of artistry is supposed to, but
Hector puts one hand on your shoulder and looks you deeply in the eye, Uriel. And he says, "Oh, don't fret. You're not helpless here. You've done a great service. This will hurt, my boy." And he grips his fingers around the pommel of the sword and wrenches it out of the table.
what
and
boy
out of
is this
view.
going to hurt? Oh, you meant me.
He very gingerly puts the sword behind him and holds his hand over the wound and says, "Now concentrate. You are not of this world.
The
These are
Lord,
not your limitations."
the Lord will see me restored when it is appropriate. Hector, where are we? How did we get here?
For those of you at home, I am trying to initiate an intimacy move, the first of our
Ooh.
entire campaign.
I love it. Let's go.
I can't think of anything more intimate than holding someone's chest closed. It seems good to me.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say there is a vulnerability to like the whole "where am I? How did we get here?" I would say this is as worried as he has let anyone on Earth know that he is. Because Uriel walks around with the confidence of somebody that knows that God is on their side. But this, after that, there's some questions. So it's like, you've kind of been my earthly rock. So where am I and what happened? How did I get here?
Hector runs a thumb across your cheek and wipes some of the soot off of your skin and says, "You have somehow found your way to me. I told you I would keep you safe, Uriel. I would look out for you. But it seems you didn't really need that, did you? The old wrath is hard to put out, harder than a wildfire."
My wrath was rendered useless before I got here. Your cleaning habits were very helpful.
Oh, yes. Well, you shared a great secret with me, Uriel, and so I am going to share one with you. This is how I live forever. Every reflection, every face of my own I see in this world. It is another me that must be claimed. And he runs his thumb across one of the tiles on the floor that's cracked, and he sees his own reflection in it. And he says, "As long as there's a reflection of me, I will never truly die." And that is also my intimacy move. So I got you twice.
Oh, I'm actually looking to see something here because I think I got your back. He hears that and he's very confused. That's not any demon, angel, or fae that he knows that can do that. And so he just almost it's almost inaudible, but there's a tiny prayer that goes, "Then let you see your reflection for all days, for all times."
That is why I know what it's like to feel like the only one of yourself in the world. It is hard living through the ages. It is hard always feeling alone. But you, my friend," he moves his hand and your bleeding has stopped. Naturally, he didn't do anything magical. You're an angel. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
He moves his hand. "No, you are unique, as am I, as are all of us that have gathered here. This is predisposed, isn't it? The work of some greater thing in your mind.
Not greater thing, but the father I've stood at his side. I've always been so certain of his ways, but I asked for him twice and barely understood. I'm starting to think that I can't be what I was told to be. And I'm starting to feel that for a reason. How can I guard the human artist, the ones who create, when all I've ever known is destruction? Their art matters because their time is finite, and I've only ever known eternity. And like as he's saying that, you can see a couple of feathers start to shed. Something to consider, I think.
I have been considering it for lifetimes. And he offers a hand to help you up off the floor.
He's going to take it with both hands and kiss the hand, and that is going to initiate his intimacy move as well, meaning that one of your corruption boxes is permanently removed.
I'll accept it. For those of you at home, it hasn't come up, but my intimacy move is when you share a moment of intimacy, physical or emotional, with another person, I imbue them with immortality. When they die, I can mark a scar to bring them back to life. Their end move takes effect before their return.
My intimacy move says that not on your end, we get rid of your corruption boxes, but on my end, I permanently cross out an advancement option that I have taken, except for give up wings. So my advancement as an angel stops here.
And in this moment, we jump cut to Viv and Izzy. You all were last seen on the way to in the car on the way to Hector's beach house after he had finally managed to get a hold of the both of you to be like, "Are you alive? Oh, you're all right. Come bring Viv here." And so you all are, driving down PCH on the way over. Do you think would you or would Viv be driving?
Viv would be driving because Izzy usually has a driver take her places, but I imagine that Viv is probably a terrible driver. Viv probably also usually has a driver take her places. Like, I feel like neither one of us are used to driving, especially not in LA.
You can definitely see that as Viv is driving the car that, there's clearly some program function of her that is like making sure, that it's monitoring the road, but the entire time she's facing you and is in conversation. She does not look at the road whatsoever. And is like constantly fiddling with the dials on the to turn the station to try and see if she can catch one of her songs on the radio, and then like slams it off and then just starts singing anyway.
Yes, all of this sounds accurate.
And eventually in this, this moment of silence when she comes to the end of one of her songs, and there's this long awkward, lingering moment of silence before she suddenly straightens her back a little bit. And as you all are winding up Pacific Coast Highway, this 2-lane road that wanders down the California coast along these meandering canyon hillsides, and she turns to you again, with these stone dead eyes, and she says, "Izzy, I hope you're wearing your seatbelt." And she immediately begins to careen the car against the other, or through the other lane of traffic and over the guardrail. What do you do?
Definitely wearing my seatbelt. Izzy is also going to say right at that moment that something terrible is about to happen.
Oh yes, definitely.
Because that's one of my oracle moves. Is I rolled at the beginning and got 2 holds, and when I declare that something horrible is about to happen, then I get a +1 ongoing to avoid the impending disaster. So whatever happens next, I get a +1.
Yeah, so you see here just wrench the car wheel towards oncoming traffic. What is your first move?
First, grab everything in the car that'll help keep me still, and just so tense now. Viv, what are you doing?
If I couldn't bring you in to Belphegor, we're going to have to end this the hard way, Izzy. You see?
Okay, then I would like to trick.
Mislead, distract, trick.
Yeah, mislead, distract, or trick.
All right.
Ooh, I want to do it by doing another fake prophecy.
Okay, all right.
Let me pull up the fake prophecy generator from fantasynamegenerators.com.
I just opened the Oracle thing too.
The day the sky turns red, an embarrassing defeat shall bring an age of justice.
Ooh. All right, I like that. Go ahead and roll with mind.
Ooh. That's a total of 13.
Oh, damn. So they are with this. So you have, as soon as you land on the word age, you see just Viv's eyebrows just one of them cranes upwards as she hears it, and she just, it seems so just disturbed and just hates it. But let's see, so you get to pick 3. So you create an opportunity, you expose a weakness or a flaw, you confuse them for some time, or you avoid further entanglement. So how is it that you use this situation in order to use this prophecy in order to give yourself an opening?
I want to confuse them. I want to confuse Viv out of doing what she's doing for or confuse her out of her programming that's controlling her, and use that to create an opportunity for Izzy to just crank the wheel back and get us back on the other lane, and I guess avoid further entanglement by somehow using this prophecy to convince Viv that if she tries to kill me like this, I'll walk away, but she won't, and so it'll fail her goal. And so she has to take me to... Wait, where was we trying to get to?
To Hector's beach house.
We have to go to Hector's beach house because that's the only way she will accomplish what she most needs to accomplish.
And so as you take this moment to crank the wheel back towards the road, and you see she's really struggling internally, and you see the beads of sweat begin to drip down her forehead, and she looks conflicted. She's, her knuckles are just clenched white around the steering wheel, and she's, trying to sing and hum a song to herself to calm her back down. And you just just barely manage to get her onto the other side of the road, as following the road, and she just looks in pain, in physical, in spiritual and emotional pain, but you've managed to calm her down for this instant.
Would it help if I like harmonize along with her as she's singing her own songs?
Do you think Izzy is a good singer? That face.
Izzy doesn't sing along. Maybe it's just some like background hums and sort of like drums on the dashboard a little bit to try to like, yeah.
Definitely. And so that definitely seems to help. It seems to calm her down, and she starts breathing a little bit erratically, but is more regularly. And she says, oh, okay, Izzy, very well. And you see in Viv's bag, you see the glint of the case that held the divining tools that Victoria had called for you to recover, sitting, its white ivory box gilded with the edge glinting on the top of her purse. And you swear you hear some kind of electrical hum coming from it.
Oh no. Izzy's gonna look for something in the car to use to poke it open with, so she doesn't have to touch it physically with her own skin.
Yeah, rooting around, there's definitely like the you can find like the tire iron or that you would use to change the tire on your car.
Oh yeah. Then yeah, she'll just sort of like very gently sort of like prod at it and try to flip open the cover to see what's inside.
Yeah, as you flip it open, and you can see inside pops out this like small little spider-like drone that looks up to you with these red electric eyes, and you hear the source of the humming, and it goes, and you can see your reflection in its eyes that are recording. And Viv calls out, Izzy, grab it!
Yeah, is that unleash an attack or?
Yeah. Say to try and like wrangle it for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Is this part of the situation that I still have +1 ongoing for because of the foretelling? Cool. Oh yeah. That is a 10.
Nice. So, do you want to? So your options there are being able to do extra harm. So if you want to like grab it and like rip it apart, or to take something away. So that could be, you can like rip out the recording capabilities. You can huck it out the window.
Take away its power source to turn it off?
Yeah, absolutely. As you snag it and you as it's like trying to scurry in within your hands, but you manage to hold it still enough and turn it around, and you manage to see that there is a large red gem where you can see that's connected to all these other wires, and you're able to pry it out with your nails, and it goes, and you see its little electronic spider legs curl in. And you see Viv suddenly kind of shakes her head, and she looks much more back to her regular self.
I'm glad that we figured out what was doing it, but now we got to figure out what the heck this thing is. How do I go about investigating this thing? Oh, I'm pretty good at the internet and also internet conspiracies. I probably know something about this, right? Or can figure it out.
Mm-hmm. I would say so. Definitely. Yeah, I would say roll to figure someone out.
Okay.
Roll with mind. Whew,
a 10 again. I'm glad I have that +1 ongoing.
Very nice. And so as you're looking at this, and this is something that Victoria had specifically asked for you to procure. And so for what would be some questions that you would ask of me about knowing that this is coming from Victoria, and about her or her her plots or schemes with this.
I'd want to know who the video feed was sending to. Like if this was something that Victoria wanted to spy on me, or if she was setting this up as a favor to someone else. And like what the purpose of it was, like what the spy or the peeper was hoping to learn from their peeping.
So definitely with that, you know that as you're looking it over and you're examining it and you're kind of prying around, you can see that there is definitely the telltale mark of like meta branded like copywritten technology within here. So this is something that was given to her by them, perhaps for them, but she was definitely, when you all had broached the subject of what were the source, what of these wax cylinders were, she definitely seems suspicious, as as you're kind of replaying that moment through your mind of your last meeting with her, and that this was her way in order to keep tail on you all to try and figure out what you knew, how much you knew, and what you were going to do next, and to relay that information to probably the people who pay her. And probably the source of her information, since she's the one who always knows what's going on in the city.
It was nice of Meta to sign their name all big across their peeper bot, though. So I know who it came from. Let me see. Oh, that was 2 questions. Is that all I get?
I would say you get to ask one more, since you all would both be in the same faction.
Okay. So I know. Okay, so it's Victoria using it for. Is it possible to learn from this who the source of Victoria's information is? Like, does it seem like her information is actually coming from Meta, or is it?
It definitely seems that either they're giving her use, or she's using Meta's tools of surveillance in order to get information. You're not quite sure how those are related, but you can definitely tell that she is using this as a tool.
Okay. So not so much an oracle as just like a heavy user of social media spyware.
She could absolutely be a fraud, or is just using surveillance to boost her oracle powers.
Interesting.
Two very strong theories.
This gives me so much to write about on my blog.
Pumping out those articles.
This is a serious conspiracy. I have to start writing this down.
And so with that, with this device now taken care of and dissected in the car, and Viv the entire time is looking at you like, my God, what is that? They were taking pictures of me? This isn't even my good side. You all are able to make it to Hector's, thankfully, in one piece. And Hector's house, you see some windows broken. It looks a little bit smoky on the inside.
This all seems to be in order.
Oh man, how did that happen?
But you're able to pull up into the driveway.
Once they pull up, Izzy doesn't let Viv get out of the car. Izzy is first gonna call Hector and just trying to see what's going on. So yeah, she's calling Hector because she knows how much he loves talking on the phone, to her specifically.
He answers the phone. Izzy, are you en route?
Yeah, I'm in the driveway of your beach house, and I just want to make sure that like you're still here and it's not some sort of weird situation going on, because it seems like there's a lot happening in your house right now.
Oh, of course. Just follow the soot and fire. We're inside. Beep.
Hector sounded just as suspicious as he always sounds, so I think I think it's fine. So yeah, we'll go inside, I guess.
Yeah, Viv will definitely follow your lead inside.
I'm imagining that Hector's like sitting on one of those small ornate sofas next to Uriel, who's still drenched in blood, and Hector's just like giving him something to sip on. I'll sip it up.
Is it like a beautiful scene of like Hector like slightly reclined and Uriel's head is in his lap?
That's up to Uriel.
It's canon.
It looks like a tragic movie poster or something.
Yes, your arms hanging down, like touching the tile.
Oh, it's just angel feathers all over the place. Oh.
I would have greeted you at the door, but
No, I can
Uriel
see that
is
you're busy.
wounded.
Hello, I was wounded.
I see that. Yes. What happened here?
After you made your escape, me and Balthazar continued our skirmish. At one point, they got the better of me, and then they didn't. Victory came, but it did come at a cost.
That sounds like a prophecy I said recently.
Oh, what was the prophecy?
Oh, who keeps track of that sort of thing?
Oracles keep track of that kind of thing.
No, I mean, once I tell someone the prophecy, then it's their responsibility.
Oh, can I have a prophecy?
Absolutely, you can. Do you want a real prophecy or a fake prophecy?
Preferably a real one.
Okay.
I'm somewhat in flux in terms of my purpose.
Notably, whenever you give someone a fake prophecy, you get to mark corruption. So how close are you to a corruption advance? Because I believe you've given 4 already.
I took a corruption advance, I think like 2 sessions ago. So, but now I am only 2 more marks away from another one.
How interesting.
I don't know if this would count as an intimacy move. Like, are we all just intimate with Uriel as he lays dying?
I'm no longer dying. Now it's just I'm in an extraordinary amount of pain. Stable though.
I'm gonna read you this. I'm gonna tell you this prophecy rather. For the audience, I'm reading it from fantasynamegenerators.com, which is where I get all my prophecies because they have a
Not
prophecy
sponsored.
generator.
Not sponsored. Hashtag not sponsored.
Yeah. Hashtag sponsor me, fantasy name generators. Let's see. Upon the day the true one reveals herself, the false leader shall bring the fall of a false god and an age of death.
Well, that doesn't sound pleasant at all.
Well, now it's yours and it's your responsibility. If you if that counts as an intimacy move, I can gain a specific and clear vision about that person's future, and I can ask up to 3 questions about the vision.
I guess what about this is I guess what about this would be like emotionally intimate for Izzy or Uriel, if that is the case.
I mean, my shirt got cut up and it's ripped off, and so there's just angel abs everywhere.
Just Goldblum
Izzy does get
reclining
really
action.
emotional about abs.
I'm just
Lord.
I was thinking more of the case that like Izzy hasn't actually asked how Uriel is doing, so she just sees the angel with like feathers everywhere, and like he's covered in blood and like draped dramatically across Hector's couch. So I think Izzy might be under the assumption that Uriel is dying or was very recently very near death, and like has just like doesn't usually just like give people prophecies willy-nilly, and sort of did it as a way to be like, hey, it's gonna be okay, bud.
Don't die here. You've got to see this future through. I think that upon being asked, like, hey, do you want a real one or a fake one? That kind of like I still have it in my notes that he's very questionable of Izzy, but I think the fact that she would offer like, hey, I usually lie, but I can tell you the truth on this one. I think he sees the artistry in what she does at that moment, which is like, your truth means more because you don't offer it often. If that makes sense.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Like you're touched by the fact that Izzy is like actually offering to tell you the truth instead of just being like, here's another fake prophecy. Have fun, asshole.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just like, oh, there's some sincerity here. I mean, it's probably because you think I'm dying.
It's definitely because she thinks you're dying. Otherwise, she definitely would have just said another fake prophecy. I don't know. What do you think, Sage? Do you think that's enough for an intimacy move? I'm fine if it's not.
I think so with what you both have said. And if you both believe it, yeah.
Awesome. Then you get to ask your questions about the prophecy.
So let's see. The prophecy was, upon the day the true one reveals herself, the false leader shall bring the fall of a false god and an age of death. My first question is if the false god is meta. Or if it's the false leader or the false god, or the age of death. What if there's any part of this prophecy that is referring to meta?
Read it slowly again for me.
Upon the day the true one reveals herself, the false leader shall bring the fall of a false god and an age of death.
I would say if your question is any a part of this relating to meta, and I would say the age of death does.
Oh no. Okay.
And you get to ask up to 3 and mark corruption for each, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, all right. So we got 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not loving this for us.
So my next question is, what part of this will be most relevant to Uriel's future?
I would say the false prophet.
All right, that is a corruption advance. Oh, that's a terrible eraser. And I think my last question is, whatever results from this prophecy, are we going to survive it?
Who is intended with the phrasing of we?
Oh. I guess
the
like
two immortals on the chaise lounge in front of
right. Are these assholes who clearly have no care in the world gonna survive? No, I guess just like the group as a whole, like all of us, Zev and Viv and Hector and Uriel and I'm sorry, Paul. I just forgot your character's name. Eli.
The spirit of the group will survive it.
Oh gosh, you're real good at these unsettling answers.
Oh, that was so good.
What kind of
That
answer
was
was
so
that?
good.
Oh,
Now,
Spirit of the
What?
group.
I love you. For
Hang
that.
on.
That's brutal.
Could you do me a favor? Could you send that to me so I could write that down for my notes?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, beautiful. Can you tell that I always love playing like diviners or oracles or soothsayers?
You said a whole lot of nothing, and I love it.
Fantastic. Thank you for that.
Oh, beautiful. Well, with the four of you here together, what is it that you all do next?
Very quickly, I need to have a scene with Vivian, and I'm imagining I leave them to their whatever the hell conversation they just had about deaths and the end of taxes or whatever. Hector goes over to Viv and says, I can smell the fear of death on Izzy. I take it that was your doing.
Well, not mine exactly, I wouldn't say. No, more sort of, and she brushes her hair just sort of erratically out of her face. It wasn't my choice.
Hector reaches into his vest pocket under his jacket and fishes out like a platinum vial that Eli is very familiar with, filled with a kind of mercury-like slightly blue liquid, and hands it to Viv, and says, It has been too long since you took your tincture, my dear. And if you cost me Izzy before I have my hooks in her, I would be very displeased. I am cashing in a debt to get a debt they hold over someone else. And I'm going to take a debt that they hold over Izzy as my own.
Ooh!
Izzy suddenly gets chills. She feels her cowrie shells calling out to her to like let her know that something horrible has just occurred.
It's like someone's just walked over your grave.
There's a disturbance in the force.
And Viv just snatches, without any pretense, the tincture, the vial, out of your hand, and she says, well, I won't be having anything happen to Izzy, so you can be sure that wherever she goes, I'll be nearby, watching.
Good. I'm happy to have a watchdog tagging along behind her. He is pissed. He's very displeased that the only thing he's tried to make her do is take these tinctures, and she still couldn't find time. Stood him up at the gala, did not honor her debt with him, nearly got Izzy killed, and came here late. So he just lets her have that moment, and he stares daggers at her and then says, I do hope that you can visit more often, perhaps when the place isn't on fire. And then he excuses himself.
Then we see Viv pull out a needle and plunge this vial of liquid into her veins, and you see she rolls her shoulders back and cracks her neck and collects herself and strolls back into the room with everyone. And we come to Eli and Zev. The two of you, we had less let you off. You were in Eli's safe house. You were doing research on Balfagor on the Vase de la Roche San Domingo. As we come in the scene with the two of you, what is it that you all are doing? What does it look like? What does Eli's safe house actually look like? I don't think we got much of a description last time.
So this, it's not particularly a safe house. It's one of the underground storage units in his facility. So Eli's the facility that he manages and is chief operator over. Above ground is a normal public storage sort of area. There's a few floors. It's the same storage sort of facility you see in, just about any sort of like downtown urban area, just hallways of rolling doors. What sets Eli's facility apart, though, is the fact that it has numerous subterranean floors, and many of them are guarded with arcane sigils and wards and other means of protection so that clients can store items of particular interest or power in a place that is neutral. They don't have to keep things in their home or something like that. So we are in one of these underground rooms where Eli has set up his personal research and office facility. So inside there, it's this very eclectic mix of 2050 future tech as well as a wizard's workshop, you might say. So there's dusty arcane tomes along one wall and candles and sculptures and idols and things like that. But then there's a flat screen across the other wall. On his desk, there's a flat screen. There's a tablet that's set up that projects holographic images and can project screens up of translations and other details, a million fucking tabs, because you got to have all of those open, as well as, so this is juxtaposed with horrible dusty tomes that are spread across one side. There's a stylus for writing on the tablet that you flip around and is has like a dip well nib on the end of it for writing in actual books and script and things like that. And so there is this mix of light between LED sort of displays and things like that, as well as candles that are being lit, some of which are just, for smell, and other ones actually have studious purposes and focus of intelligence and everything like that. So they're both, or at least Eli is hunched over this desk with, we last left discovering the weaknesses of Balfagor. Then Zev, there are other chairs in this room, but it's not necessarily set up for multiple people. So I'm not sure what Zev might be availing themselves of in this area. Eli doesn't really keep anything too dangerous in this area. It's just mostly research materials and notebooks and things like that.
So Zev, after writing Zev was here on the tablet, is playing with the magic that bounces her back, like messing around with that area. But she's basically kind of curiously looking around and trying not to pickpocket the things that she sees in Eli's area. She's trying to change.
And so Eli, you had taken the urn of transference, the fairy artifact that had been stolen by Juniper. Is there a particular place where you're keeping that within the storage facility? Would it be in this room? Is it like locked under, like in a safe somewhere? Where is that?
That is in the neighboring unit. He has his office unit, and then next door to that is the safe, locked down, hyper secure vault, essentially, for personal items. Items of personal import. So that's double, triple warded, obfuscated. It's one of those. It's like if you're walking down the hallway, it's the door you would never see because you would walk right past it. You'd always be looking to the left at the numbers as you walked past that door on the right.
For sure.
It's that sort of coincidental, you never even noticed that it was there sort of thing on top of all of the actual offensive, defensive warding and everything else that's on that space.
Mm-hmm. And so as Eli is busy poring over these tomes, both digital and analog, Zev, as you're kind of like, looking around at things, picking things up, putting them down, writing Zev was here on a tablet, and out of the corner of your eye, you see a cockroach just right out of the corner of one of these walls in this unit. And it begins to scuttle across the ground. And you see behind it immediately another one. And then 2 seconds behind that one, another one. And out of another corner in the room, you see another line as they begin to form this sort of ring around you. And you hear this chittering, and their little loud taps from their feet grow louder and louder. And you hear Queen Annika's voice emit from their little mandibles. And you hear, Zev, I have a very important mission for you.
Oh, okay. And she's not sure which cockroach to look at. So she's just spinning in a circle at these little spies. Yes, what is this? Yes, Queen Annika, go on.
Eli,
Is this audible?
Voice.
Sorry.
Yes.
Or is this...
Yes.
Oh, okay. We have guests? Who are you? Ah, shit.
Watch your
call the
foot.
exterminator again. Wait. Oh, no. Was that Annika?
Yeah.
Hello,
Yeah.
Eli.
Watch.
Sup, Queen Annika?
Well, as you both know, it's been 3 days since the ritual was set to take place, and last I have heard from my sources, Eli, you have the urn of transference?
Yeah, it's on the way to the Court of Sands. Transfer was supposed to take place, in another day or two?
Well, the Court of Sands is, as one might say, on my ass, and I'm busy here dealing with, our compound that has been exploded by some
For sure.
vampires. So, Zev, I would like to trust you with a very important task. I wish for you to go in my stead and to perform the rite of changing waters.
Yes. Yes. Are there instructions? It's been a while. I'm a little rusty on this one.
Of course, I understand this is a lot. This is new, perhaps, for you, but normally, as she bites with disdain and venom as she says, Juniper would go in my stead, but seeing as he arrived onto my front doorstep in a box, I must entrust this matter to someone else. I will bestow upon you the knowledge that you need in order to perform it, and the magic necessary. In order to accomplish it, you must travel to the fairy realm. For only there can you change the waters.
Her throat tightens a little bit because it's been a while since she's been back to the fairy realm. And so she hesitantly opens her palms, not sure which and where to receive this from.
In the background, when you said, are there instructions or something like that, Eli jumped up and ran over to this one shelf and started throwing scrolls behind him, trying to dig out something from all these sheaves of paper, some of which are bound up tightly with wax seals and other ones are loose. And he starts to pull all these things out and then hears the rest of what Annika says, and it says, wait, so I'm not responsible for the handoff anymore?
Seeing as the realm of fairy is a dangerous place, it is not a bad idea for you to accompany dear Zev, but no, you are not directly responsible for the transfer. You've
All
done
right,
your work
well-
in You've done your work in procuring and safeguarding the artifact, and for that I am grateful.
Nah, part of the contract I signed was getting it from A to B. So if we got to go in the fairy realm for B, then we'll take care of it. Eli takes care of his business. Doesn't like people messing with it. Unfortunately, yeah, there's been a lot of that happening recently. But no, let me tool up, and I got your back, Zev.
Yeah, well, you could owe me. That's okay.
You could owe me.
Well, yes.
Well, Zev, sit in the center of the floor and place your hands palm up onto the ground.
She hesitantly does so, careful not to smush a cockroach. Or two.
And as
Or
you
three.
do so, or three, and you see as there's a line, or there is this circumference of about 50 that surrounds you, and as you sit onto the ground and you place your palms up, see all of them break this circle and just immediately begin to swarm over their palms, and you feel their little spiky legs, begin to crawl over your feet, and you feel a hard bite from one of them, and it stings brutally. But with that, suddenly you feel like there's almost that feeling of like being on a roller coaster where your stomach drops and you have this moment of dizziness and vertigo, but it's just suddenly everything is so bright, it's so colorful. You feel like the lines of yourself expand as you are just imbued with this power.
In her head, she hears the Madonna song, and I feel like a distant. Yeah, that is tripping the hell out in this circle.
Just everything
eyes
is just,
wide.
you smell everything. You just like everything emits this interesting different auras, and you see, as you look at Eli, you can sort of see this his like wavering of emotions, and like
This is a wild. And she's just like petting Eli's face.
Yo. Oh, okay. Okay. No. It's cool.
So cool.
He holds his hand out towards yours to be like, okay, here we go. Like, we're cool. This is my first rodeo. I can sit this. Let's
No,
go.
I
You got it.
see you. I
Ja.
see you. Wow.
Yeah. I see you too, Zev. It's all good. It's all good. Why don't you sit down over here for just a second? I'm gonna grab a couple things. You want something to drink?
That would be amazing.
Yeah. How about some orange juice?
Orange juice.
Yeah.
Spell work. I'm here with you.
Right. We're both here
These cockroaches are talking.
together.
and immediately
Yeah.
they begin
Sometimes that shit happens.
immediately after the cockroaches begin to disperse, and they just disappear as soon as they hit the corner. You no longer hear any scrabbling. Just whoosh. And then Eli, as you've been doing research for the vase, and as you're gathering your instruments together, go ahead and give me a hit the streets.
Okay. Oh, that's fucking butts. Can I hit the streets in my arcane network?
Oh yes, absolutely. I was gonna suggest that. Sorry. Yes. Roll with
All right. I would
mortality.
like to do that, and that gets me a 7.
Nice. So, Phoenix Perez in your arcane network. They are the purveyor of a lot of artifacts that come out of Latin and South America. And with Zev here as your Fae consort, definitely it calls to mind of a rumor that Hector had heard about how a Fae had made off with this vase and was last seen with it. And as you hit up Phoenix Perez, they verified that, yeah, you're definitely sure that some Court of Roaches Fae had crashed a shipment of artifacts that were headed towards the Getty Museum, and some things might have fallen off the back end of them for sure was this vase. That they're pretty certain it's in the realm of fairy.
It's in the realm of fairy, and the Court of Roaches has possession of it?
Yeah, someone from that court on the other side.
Okay, cool. Well, I can pass that info along to Hector. He said he just needed to know where it was. No problem. Done and done.
So you can see the. What is there anything in particular that that Eli thinks to, any particular gadgets that Eli thinks to bring with him to the fairy realm? Has Eli ever been to the fairy realm?
Eli has probably taken little like jaunts into it and out of it for particular like dealings. Chief on the list is going to be lots of he's going to be a bandolier of cold iron nails, basically, that he just slings over, and yeah, instead of like shotgun shells, it's just cold iron nails hanging through it. And then otherwise it's probably it's a lot of shiny things that look like other things.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. It's like, oh, look at this little curio of a butterfly with stained glass wings. Isn't that pretty? But it will actually, bite you and attack you or something when the command word is given. So it's very Fae flavored artifacts. So he brings his messenger bag out and begins to swap things out. He opens a file cabinet over here, swaps things out into his bag and otherwise. Yeah. And then says, okay, all right.
Right.
So whenever you're ready, no rush, take your time.
What does it look like when Zev
Here's your
opens-
OJ. He gets out of a little mini fridge. It's a little like bottle of Simply OJ or some whatever.
So, as she gathers her OJ, sort of like in the movie Cinderella, sparkles kind of come down as the cockroaches leave, and that kind of breaks that little mini spell that she had. Whoa, that hasn't happened in some time. Oh, thanks for the juice. You said you had a scroll or this spell of some sort. Maybe there's a way to get exactly to where do we need to go.
I mean, yeah, I got this here, and he holds up a scroll, but it seemed like Annika was gonna, give you the knowledge or something as part of that whole trip you just went on.
She grabs the scroll, opens it, and then just sneezes onto the map. Sneezes onto the scroll, and a map appears. Oh,
okay.
Found it.
Sure, yeah, no, that's more detailed than what was on there to begin with. I can have that back afterward, right?
Yeah,
Sweet.
It's just there now.
Oh, that's not the worst thing I've dealt with. No, I got a box of gloves right here. It's all good. And he opens a drawer in his desk and pulls out a couple of latex gloves and tucks those in a pocket.
Well, we got our map and a little bit up here.
Yeah. What I was gonna say, what does it look like for Zev to open up a portal to the fairy realm?
It is it's kind of animated in its own right. So around it there's an outline that is kind of made of glitter because fairies. The map itself is it kind of shows you like you are here. So wherever you go, as you're walking, the map will show you how far along. It's like a little GPS on it. But opening the portal takes just a little bit of energy. So it will be some time before she can mimic or really use any of her glamour, because most of the fairies can probably see right through that. So that's a caveat of using this magic here.
Mm-hmm.
No worries. Yeah. Hang on. Let me see if I've got something for that. And I would like to make I have a move for this. I think. I would like to lend a hand. And in that way, I would like to reach into, there opens up a cabinet on one of the walls, and it's filled with little test tubes and other glass vials and stone and metals and things like that, and pulls out one that has a particularly phosphorescent rainbow glimmer to it on the inside. This might be good for you. And as soon as Zev takes it, it resonates with glamour. It's like it's a shot of concentrated distilled glamour within it.
Ooh, it's like a shot. She just takes it without any hesitance. None
Okay.
whatsoever. Not even nothing.
Yeah. Oh, I got a 10 on that.
Oh,
so.
hell yeah. So you will get the +2 to your next roll, Zev. So to create this portal and to obscure it from other peeping eyes, go ahead and roll to let it out. So roll with spirit.
Roll with spirit.
And add an additional +2 from your friend who's helping you.
That would be a +3 then. Okay. Here we go. 5, 6, 7. So 7?
Ness, that 7 is a hit, so you're able to successfully do so. And whoosh, this portal opens up before you, leading into this rich and lush and fragrant land, inviting you to step in.
Oh, right. Before we go, though, we need the thing. And then he goes over to the side with the flat screen and just lifts the flat screen up, and it just folds up. And behind that, there's a safe with metal slide, look like straps and knobs that are all over it. And he proceeds to slide things up and down and left and right in this ridiculously complicated, convoluted series of movements. And then in the corner of it, just knocks, and the little panel opens up, and he reaches his arm through into this black space and then draws out the vessel, stuffs it into his messenger bag, and then that slides closed, and there's this absurd cacophony of clicking and clacking as all of these locks and other devices snap back into place to secure it. And he puts the flat screen back down over all of that.
Got it.
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
good now.
Cool. That wasn't different at all. Well,
You're the one that just conjured a portal in my office. Yeah, let's go.
all right. Wonderful. And the fairy realm has like a particular smell, like baked cookies and Pirates of the Caribbean, kind of a mishmash of the two.
Nice.
Whatever they
Butter
say.
rum cookies.
Just be careful what you take from books in this area. And she kind of dips her foot in, and it's sort of as contrasty as would say the Wizard of Oz, just color. There's color everywhere. And grass, just knolls of grass as they pass through.
Mm-hmm. And it's
Eli takes a step through the portal, and then before the portal closes behind them, reaches back through and draws one of the cold iron nails out and proceeds to carve a glyph.
We're streaming. We're still recording on here. And let me look at the thing. All right,
There
yes.
she blows.
Hey.
Beautiful. All right, so picking up, Eli was just finishing working on transcribing a glyph onto the floor of his office with one of those cold iron pins. And
Yeah, hasn't had a lot of Fae in his office before, and is now realizing that there's another level of protection that he needs to add on there. So this will do real quick in the meantime until he can get one of his wizard buddies to do it up proper.
Yes, indeed. And so as the both of you step through, and it feels as if you are stepping through the rushing waterfall, though you don't get wet, as you feel this energy just cascade over you as you step into this rich and luscious landscape. This landscape of green, or of these like bright lavender and lush rolling hills, as you see this amazing mix of denizens of bears wearing hats picnicking, of people who are both parts insect and flower milling about, these individuals who are going about their day. And Zev, you feel in your mind this destination where you're meant to go to, where it is a place, this ritual space, in order to perform this rite.
So Zev looks down in her hand, and in it, like in her skin, there's like a compass that appears, and it spins, stops, and then points in the direction that they need to go towards, and then moves in that general direction. Yeah. We got a little bit of help here, and I think this is the way over this way. We'll need to walk for maybe half a day's time, but we'll be there.
Are we coming back out this way?
We can only hope so. Yeah, maybe we could leave I don't know, crumbs or
I got a thing for that. And goes in his bag and takes what looks like a container of silly putty out, and like the egg, it's like a red plastic egg, and he cracks it in half, and it doesn't separate cleanly like a plastic egg would.
Mm-hmm.
It literally like cracks and breaks in half, and then he leaves half of it right where the portal is,
Mm-hmm.
and takes the other one and tucks it in his pocket.
Excellent.
Very nice. And so as the two of you continue forward, and give me some really like amazing or wonderful things that you notice in your journey as you're walking through this just truly inspiring landscape.
Zav goes over to a tree, plucking a lollipop out of it because why not? Pops it into her mouth and gazes around. There are several stags off in the distance that have several just feeds of horns, grazing and jumping about, and it's truly scenic. There's a cottage off further up that clearly belongs to the witch. Witches reside all around here, fae witches and whatnot. And then in the springs, there are little fae bouncing about, catching rays of sunlight.
Does Zev look different in the realm of fairy, or does she appear as her? Does she have wings? Is she different colors, or does she have her generally like humanoid appearance?
As she goes through the portal, there is a little sparkle of change. She kind of goes back into perhaps her form that when she left the Fae realm, which is far nicer clothing, a little bit looser, and there are some translucent wings. She doesn't really use them; they're more for show. That kind of cascade down her back, towards her calves. That flutter from time to time, but they're mostly a nuisance. She doesn't really use them.
Are they like dragonfly wings?
Yes. Yeah.
Nice. Sweet.
Glass. They look like glass.
Ooh, very cool.
Yeah.
And they catch this like dewy sunlight off of them that glints and throws these colors of lights onto the ground as you walk. And,
Those are sweet. That's a good look, Zav.
Growing myself. They don't really have a whole practical use in the human world. And her hair goes from just like a typical mousy brown to just all sorts of colors. Kind of like the way a blue jay will catch light and appear blue. It's not really blue. Similar.
Very cool. And what's something that really catches Eli's gaze as you all are hiking?
They move through this copse of trees, and there's a clearing off to one side, and in the trunks of the trees, it looks like they're shelves with books on them, but then some of the books fall off and they metamorphose into moths that sort of flutter up into the tree line, and then they sort of morph back into books, and so it's this very amorphous sort of, is it a moth, is it a book, is it both, is that a set of encyclopedias? I don't really know, but that looks really cool. And he almost like walks into another tree as he's staring off of that, and he catches himself and moves around.
Very cool. I love it. And as you all continue your day's hike, it's arduous. Climbing over rocks. There's not exactly a trail. And so, and I think definitely for Eli too, not being a native of this place, every like distance and time feels so strange. You just like, everything is so overwhelming in color and texture and smell, and so by the end of it, it's that sensory overload that begins to overwhelm you, where you're just like, man, I just need some downtime from this, but it just keeps pushing more and more and more color, and by the end of it, as it comes to sunset, which has this, like miraculous sprays of greens and purples instead of the oranges and pinks that we would expect to see in our world. And you come to this beautiful glade that opens up before you, and you can see there are these birds of paradise flowers that they begin to take off, and you see that they're hummingbirds, and then they land and they form back into these almost crystal-like looking flowers. And at the far end of this glade, you notice this large waterfall, but the water has this sort of pink shimmery tint to it, and that it pools in this very sort of nice and placid pool of water at the base of it, at the back of this glade. And Zev, you know that this is the place. And you notice off to the side, you catch the glimpse of a familiar individual, both Zev and Eli. You see, you catch Annika's perfect white pallid skin.
Zev's wings rise up slightly. I think we have a visitor, Eli.
Yeah, aren't you here because she couldn't make it?
Yeah.
All right.
The two of you see the rustling of grass, of tall grass.
I think we better be careful on this one. I'll investigate. And she kind of like pulls a little dagger that usually comes with her outfit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You
go first. And he reaches into his bag and pulls out a pouch. And in this, it's like a folded pouch, like the emergency ponchos would be in. He opens it up and pulls out this emergency poncho, but as he pulls it out, it looks like a ghillie suit. So there's all kinds of plants and everything that sort of just materialize as he pulls it out. And he puts this thing on and looks like a sniper in a ghillie suit. And he just kind of crouches down in the grass at that point to hide. You go first. Give me a sign if it's clear.
So she kind of covers her face for a second, closes her hand, and becomes as translucent as her wings. And then hopefully with her eyes she can see within the grass whatever is magical or mythical could stand out a little bit further, like her vision becomes a little bit clearer in the night with this.
You definitely see in it as you catch the glance of her ankle and long and slender foot, and as you kind of ease around a tree in order to get a better view, you can see that the aura of this body, of this, for all intents and purposes, looks to be a corpse lying on the ground, is that it gives off this sort of grayish aura that of death are surrounding it. And as your eyes peel across the grass to try and catch anyone else, you can see that you catch the two reddish pink auras of two other individuals nearby, and they carefully and slowly peel through the grass and they say, Zev? And you see two people who you recognize from the Court of Roaches, people who you haven't seen in a very, very long time. Petal and Skylark, as they sort of pull through the grass and they say, Oh, thank God it's you. Oh, all right. We were hoping you would come by. We thought you would come by. And you see Skylark, who has this bright blue mohawk and these piercings of one that clips from their septum up to their ears, and they say, "Man, we had a feeling Annika would send you by this way, but we weren't really sure, and oh, this looks bad, doesn't it? She's not dead."
Is this necromancy? What are you two doing here? And this late at night, you're so far from where you normally are. This is odd, even for you.
And you see that Petal, who has whose hair is in these long sort of streaking curls of these bright rainbow iridescent colors, and you can see that in their hands they're holding a very large vase, and they say, "Well, we had a plan. We're hoping you might come to see our side of it."
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. She looks at the vase, then back at them, then back at the vase. Who put you up to this?
And Skylark says, "Well, okay, come here. You never know who's listening. Come here. As they motion you in with a hand to get very, very close."
She kind of quietly fingers her dagger and leans out just slightly, reading their movements. Hang on, I'm here. I'm not alone. She last minute, I'm reading their body language because everything is very tense, and she can she can see it in their aura, everything floating around them is a color she doesn't really recognize. She can't read it anymore. I'm not here alone.
I say, "Oh, who'd you bring with you?" Skylark asks.
A friend, a very powerful friend, and he can make things happen if we want to. But first things first is I need to know why you're masquerading around with Annika's corpse.
And
or back there.
They'll begin speaking to you in Sylvan, in the language of fairy.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll say, "Well, we haven't been back to the mortal realm in a long time, but Juniper had us here, had sent us on this mission to try and gather those of us of the Court of Roaches on this side, because we wanted to make a move against Queen Annika. For Juniper found out that she, as they like suck their lips in and bite the words before Petal finally blurts it out. She's not really a fae. She's posing. She's using an artifact in order to siphon the power from the real queen. And
Wait, whoa. Yes. And she understands Sylvan, but speaking it again.
mm-hmm.
Juniper, not alive. What? And also, how find out? How you find out? Juniper, not fae.
And
No, Annika, not fae. That's what it sounds like to them.
And as you say, like, Juniper not alive, and both of their eyes grow wide, and they just, their jaws just fall open and slack, and they say, and Petal says, Juniper's dead?
Oops. She looks back, looks back, like trying not to look in the direction that Eli is actually in, and then back at them. You didn't know? You didn't know?
No.
Oh no.
No, they said that they were working on getting the last of the plan in place. Oh no. Juniper was gonna be our leader, but they're dead. And you see they're both beginning to spiral.
Dead-ish?
Ish?
Well, yeah, maybe very, very dead. Listen, why were you out here? I'll explain more later, Juniper dead.
And Skylark begins to explain. Well, Juniper had found out, and as far as we know, Annika was the only one who trusted this information to, because, I mean, Juniper's pretty good at finding things out, but, so, he held it to her, so that, it's, in order to keep her secret, that he would have to be her number one, that he would be, taking on the role of fairy consult, because mortals can't go into fairy alone or unaccompanied, or especially without some other means of travel. So naturally that put Juniper in a good face with everyone on this side, and really put forth themselves as like the face of the Court of Roaches. And we were all beginning to rally behind him, and we were planning to make a move, because Juniper said that some vampires are getting involved, and we thought that, well, vampires always do one thing. They always go out for blood. They enjoy feeding on fairies, and so we thought that we would make use of this, as Petal points to the vase in her hands, to be able to pose Annika's death, so that we could take over and we could figure out where exactly it is that she is hiding the true queen.
The translation hits her just a little bit too late. She goes, "What do you mean Annika's not the queen? What do you mean Annika's not the real, actual fae?"
She's just some wizard who's using some horrible artifact to siphon the actual queen's power, and is posing as her, and is using glamour magic, which is why none of us can see through it, because it's using our own magic against us.
Zeb suddenly feels very ill, very sick, upon hearing this, and kind of sinks slowly down to her knees, just absorbing and taking this in. It goes against everything, like even as a fae.
So, we've got this plan. I mean, hopefully, by having her out of the picture, hopefully she can reverse the magic in order to let our queen go. If there's anything even really left of her, we don't know. We haven't even scoped that out, but we're hoping maybe we can seize power in the meantime. And wait, why are you here?
She kind of like turns an ear towards Eli, just in that general direction, but then back towards them. See about that. I heard that I needed to be here to speak to Queen Annika, but this was before I found out about all of, well, on behalf of Queen Annika. This was before I found out about any of this. I don't know about any of this.
Who's your friend? Where are they?
They're around, but wasn't sure if it was safe yet. So can you promise me you won't freak out?
We're not gonna hurt them. As long as they don't try to hurt us.
Oh yeah, take the word of a fae, sure.
They hold up their little hands in like defensive gestures.
They are harmless.
Mhm.
Eli, are you still around?
You hear them mumble under the breath, Eli, Eli, Eli. As they commit the name to memory.
Oh, great.
You held off on giving that name for 5 seconds.
I mean, I'm home. Sorry.
There's a rustling in the grass after you say his name, and you just hear, fuck! Even I know that's not a good idea. God damn it! And he stands up at that point, and it's like the sniper standing up from the background, from the ground, and you're like, oh, there was a person there. And he pulls the hood back and then angrily takes off the poncho and starts folding it back into this impossibly small square of material and tucks it back into the little pouch and puts it in his messenger bag. So, where's the Court of Sands? That's who we're here to see.
Oh no, you don't need to see them. You merely need to perform the rite and change the water within the vessel to sand.
And then they take it for their season.
They will open up a portal and snag it.
Okay.
I mean, what do we have to lose? No, I don't know. No. We have so much.
So we
to
just
lose.
put all this money on the table, and then we trust that the person who's supposed to get it comes in at the right time. I don't think that's how any business deal works, even in the Fey realm.
As a side note, Eli, you recognize in Petal's hand the vase that you've been researching for Hector. She's holding it.
Mm-hmm. So all of my intel is fucking bad. I hate my network. Okay. So what's gonna happen right now? What's the next step? Eli is like fed up with all of this. Like, I'm here. I signed a contract to secure a vessel to hand it off to somebody. What's supposed to happen now? I'm losing my chill, he says to the Fae.
The fact.
So what Zev knows is that in order to perform the ritual, that you, as you step forward and you take the urn and you fill it with the water from the glaive, and then you recite an incantation, and part of that is in declaration to the monarch of the court, and by invoking their name with the power of the court invested by them, and that you command the waters to change. And once the water is placed inside the glade and you say this incantation, then it turns into be the water which matches the next court. And then the water from the glade gets drained, and then the recipient of the urn of the power will be able to take it from the other side, whether that's in the material plane or by physically being there. So the Skylark poses to you, Zev. It says,
Mhm.
well, if you're here to perform the rite, you have a chance to claim this power in the name of someone else. With you? With someone else? Or?
I mean, yeah, it would, in the name of someone else, I mean, maybe even perhaps a fraction of whatever maybe Annika's power might be, if she's posing as one of us. I think we were here, unless we were here on other circumstances. We didn't exactly have a game plan for this part, but we want to help. But this is what we were sent here for.
And next week, we'll find out what happened. Yes, thank you for staying a little bit late, everyone. Thank you for sitting through our technical difficulties there at the end. But, oh boy, we have our season finale next week at 6:30 p.m. PST. Tune in next Wednesday. And I think after that, the following Wednesday on the 21st will actually be the campaign finale for the first arc of Adventure Maidens, the Favor campaign. So we've got finales on finales. But yes, this has been a wonderful time. Thank you to my wonderful players for being here, for staying a little bit late. I have been your storyteller and MC this evening, Sage, and I'll be going around, plug anything that you've got going on, any cool projects, and yeah, we'll give a sign off.
I am Rabecca. I was playing your chaotic phase, Zev. You're lost, Zev. Nothing to plug this week. Thankfully, I'm resting. It's post-PAX, post-hackathon. But you can catch me at Latina Scribbles if you want to see more mess.
Hi, everybody. I'm JB, better known as Drop the Die on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Vampire Freaks, eBay, like everywhere. Drop the Die. And you can keep up with all of my shenanigans at Drop the Die on Twitter. It's the best place to find me. I'm doing a couple giveaways, and I've got some tabletop games in the works. I've got a couple podcast ideas, a couple live stream ideas. Got a couple of things brewing around. So if you want to try and get into part of that, maybe on the ground floor, come and find me on Twitter. Come find me on Twitter. And tonight I played Hector Curio.
I'm Jess. I was playing Izzy, the Oracle, who is always super helpful and whose prophecies always make the most sense. You can find all of my stuff on Twitter at RightJessR, on my website, rightjess.com. My latest things are Journeys to the Radiant Citadel is one of them. I worked on that one. and it's out, and you should buy it because it's wonderful. Also, Dead Man's Rest, which it was on Kickstarter I think like 2 years ago, but it's the hard copies are out now, and you can buy that from Drive Thru RPG. And you can buy Incredible Items, is the newest one, which the print on demand just released sometime the past couple of weeks. So I don't have my copy of it yet, but you can find that on Drive Thru RPG, and all of my stuff is on my website, righteous.com. And also, you can check out D20 Dames, family-friendly podcast, actual play podcast that Jen is also on. She's a black square right now, but normally she's there. And you can find that everywhere podcasts are free, D20 Dames.
Oh, my turn. Hi. Hi, I'm Noir. I played Uriel. Both me and Uriel go by he, they. Yeah, I've got some projects to talk about. I'm in pre-production for a couple of shows that I'm doing. One is a show called The Green Room, where I will be interviewing actual play casts. It's basically like Talk Machina, but for a bunch of different actual plays. So we'll be getting into the nitty gritty on some of your favorite shows. I'm bringing back Dungeons and Deep Dish, which is a one-on-one interview show that finishes up with a one-on-one one shot. That's a lot of ones in that. Morning Ritual is coming back for our next season. We're lining up the guests now, and it's going to be a blast. And of course, I am bringing. I am starting work on Chicago by Night. It is going to be a in-studio game, so we're just making that happen. So yeah, that's me.
I am Paul Harpring. I have been playing Eli, your SoCal Constantine scholar. I can be found on the Twitter, where I'm reposting a lot of artists right now. I just love looking at awesome art. That's at Paul_Harpring. You can see what I call what passes for my art, which is painting tiny plastic people, on Instagram at Paul's Plastic Peeps. And that's about it for hobby fun stuff right now.
All right, and thank you for the raid from the Onyx Path earlier. Thank you for Arcade Zone for all of the amazing gift subs earlier. We are going to pass on this wonderful crew with a raid over to the Dungeon Run, and we will catch you all next week for our season finale. Have a good night, y'all.
Bye-bye.